My name is Przemek Chojecki and this episode is about data science in business. So I just made a course about business data science. You can see it probably below on YouTube if you're watching that on YouTube. But here I want to give you a summary of what's being talked there and actually what kind of problems using data science you can solve in business. So those will be like probably 5, 6, 7, 9 different methods, different classification of problems that you can solve that you probably already have if you're running a business, if you're working in a corporation, bigger enterprise. So starting with on this note, first of all, data science is a science about data, so you need a lot of data to actually have something meaningful to say. Of course, if you have just like 100 samples, 1000 samples, you can always get something, but it might not be the best, it might verify your hypothesis, but actually you don't have a way to determine whether it's really influential or not. But still, that really depends on the kind of problem you're solving. So having said that, I'm coming to the very first thing, classification problems. Those are the problems that are occurring the most often, and those are the problems that you have labels that you want to attach to your data. So for example, this is the problem about the churn of clients, where you want to see whether this particular client will leave you or not in the next month. And this is a classification problem because you have a purchase history of your clients and you want to decide whether a given client is leaving you or not. And probably you have already the past occurrences of leaving you, so you can start predicting. So this is also what we call supervised learning, where you have labels and you're trying to teach the machine how to predict those labels. So classification is all about actually guessing the labels. The second thing that we talk about is regression, and regression is similar to classification, but this time we want to quantify exactly the number. So if we're looking at a given individual in your e-commerce shop, you want to know how likely it is that he will leave you in the next month. And this is the valid question with regression. There are a couple of techniques in data science to determine whether he will stay on go. It all comes down to having a proper data. So now, if we have already talked about classification and regression, the natural next thing is talking about similarity, because you might wonder, for example, okay, what should I recommend to my clients? Because one of the clients bought from you, I don't know, you having a wine shop and you're selling wine online, and there are a couple of people who bought the wine from south of France, south of Italy, and then you want to recommend something similar to them because they're looking for something new. How do you do it? It's basically by applying similarity techniques. So you need to have some kind of a metric to measure how something is similar, how something is not similar to the other objects, for example, in what you're doing. The similarity metrics are often used then for the next technique for doing the clustering. So clustering is all about building labels if you don't have any. So for example, if you're running a wine shop, as we talked about, then you might actually wonder how are wine organized according to taste, according to likings of different people, and you want to go outside of this common thread that actually wine is all about the region, wine is all about the color, and then probably how long it was barreled, in what oak and stuff like that. You probably want to go beyond that because you want to just focus on clients' preferences and what would they buy if they bought this particular wine as well. If you're wanting to do that, then actually you have to build the labels for yourself. And the way to do it is, again, coming back to similarity, having this way to actually compare different objects, how similar they are. So actually you need to quantify how something is similar. That's the hard part. But then having that, you'll be able to cluster and build new labels based on that. So if you have, because basically you can see if you have one object you want to cluster into a bigger group, then you can see what are the nearest objects to him and say that that's a single group. For example, the wine that you're trying to buy. That's one thing. So then, similar to clustering, we have grouping by co-occurrence, which means that a couple of objects are appearing together. And this is back to similarities. For example, if you're running, again, a shop this time a physical one, and you want to determine what clients are buying, then you might to wonder, for example, are they buying Coca-Cola and chips together? Is there anything else that goes in pairs, in triples? That's important because then you can start giving discounts, you can start promoting those kind of pairs in the same place. So it's also important for a couple of other things, also in stuff like healthcare, because you probably want to understand how different things are going when it comes to detecting, I don't know, cancer or like the different other illnesses. So it's really important, and it also comes back to looking at similarities and computing similarities and understanding the concept of independent dependent variable, which we'll talk about a little bit in a moment. So having that, we can come to the next thing, which is profiling. So this became very popular, especially in the recent years with the rise of Cambridge Analytica affair. So we probably heard about all of the things done during the elections, different around the world. So it might have a bad press right now, but profiling is something which is done on a daily basis in many marketing departments. And it's really important because profiling is all about understanding your clients and this client's behavior, this client's purchase history, this client predicting what this client will buy. So if you come back to wine, it's all about prediction of what kind of things this client might buy. And it is really important to try to do it because it can significantly boost your revenues that you're having right now, either from your e-commerce shop or from targeting different ads online. So everything that I'm saying right now is very practical because you can apply really data science to, for example, running ads online, targeting clients, having different groups of clients, understanding the groups. So especially if you both a large enterprise, or if you're just a single affiliate marketer and you're trying to do that by yourself, it's also very important because that can boost your sales significantly. Profiling is important because you're trying to if you pinpointed out already through clustering all the groups that you're talking about, then you can take a single individual and try to understand how to describe those groups, because clustering give you labels, but it doesn't give you description. Profiling is all about giving you description for those clusters that you artificially created, but based on some kind of a notion of a distance, some kind of a metric. So having that, we probably want to talk about predictions as well, because once you have built all the labels, all the profiling, you want to start predicting what will happen next. And the techniques for predicting is actually what we talked in the beginning. So it's supervised learning. Right now we have the labels, so we can rerun the whole machine of data science and start giving the data we had so far with the labels that we created in order to predict what new clients might want to buy, and build recommendation system based on that. So that's really cool because you can start building this whole machine. You be like Amazon or Netflix, where if you watch a couple of movies, you get right away recommendations for what you should watch next or what you should buy next if you're on Amazon. That's really great, and that's something that you can do for yourself. Using data science in your business, in your enterprise, in your organization. So that's really great. So probably the last thing I want to talk about right now is data reduction, dimensionality reduction. So dimensionality reduction is all about trying to simplify your data, trying to project that onto a smaller subset and do something with that without losing too much information. So especially we're living in this era right now where everything is digital, so probably you already have enough data to do everything. It's seldom happening that you have not enough data. Well, most often the case is that you have enough data, but the data is not good enough and you have to enrich it. So you need to get the data in order to make your data better. But actually most of the time you have the opposite problem. You have too much data and you just want to make sense of that. And here comes handy the dimensionality reduction, which is all about techniques which allow you to shrink your data set so you can focus on what's really important. There are a couple of techniques which are really easy to implement. Also, anyone with the laptop can do it and the data set. And it's really useful because if you start using much smaller data sets, much smaller set of parameters that you're parameterizing your clients, products, then you'll be able to see different patterns quicker. And the whole idea is that you just trying to reduce it in a way which you lose only like 10-20% of your information at most, but reducing significantly the amount of data that you're dealing with. Okay, so this is probably it. This is what I wanted to talk in this video. So everything that I covered here is in the course discussed more in detail. I probably you should go there. I direct you to that course and the course about data science in general. I probably want to talk even more about those and those different use cases that you can have. I think data science is an amazing tool that you can use right now, and the whole idea is actually that you can use data science in the real world, in real business right now, and often at a very low cost. It doesn't really cost you much. You don't even have to hire data scientists often, because there are so many tools that you can use either for free or for a small monthly payment. And you don't have to understand coding. You don't have to understand much about what kind of algorithms are going inside. You just have to understand this general outline, general picture, because that's what needed in order to really get into problems. And it's really needed if you want to understand what kind of data you have and what you can do with this data. So thank you for watching this episode. Please subscribe to my channel and see you in the next episode.